through the column, and that steam turns into a vapor. It comes through here at about 185 degrees. Once it comes through there, it comes across what we call a line pipe and into a condenser. If you're standing on top of that condenser, there's a worm inside of it. And that worm is made up of copper, and as that cold water comes in the bottom and out the top, so we have a consistent cold temperature there. So when that hot steam or vapor hits that cold, it goes back to a liquid, and water and oil obviously won't boil. We started these, and we'll see what happens here. This one generally takes about an hour and 15 minutes. It'll start delivering material generally in about 20 minutes. This one will take about an hour and a half just because of the size of it and how long it takes for that kettle to turn around and heat the water. The process itself has been going on clear back to the days of Leonardo da Vinci and coming up with how to get that fragrance. Today, what you see in the marketplace is commercially, there's three things that are primarily going on. If you weren't at a farm, what you'd find is probably either a synthetic fragrance, which you'll see in like Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, can chemically produce that fragrance in a lab. The other thing that you'll see in the marketplace is this oil that comes out of here is so highly concentrated. And we'll pass it around, but you can see how high, it only takes one or two drops for them to make a byproduct into a lotion or soap because it's so concentrated. In the marketplace, they'll actually cut it. They use 60% natural oil and then 40% of what we call a carrier oil, like a jojoba or a coconut oil or that type of thing, to expand it and basically liquefy it a little bit more because of the concentration. Today in the United States, we belong to the National Association, which is the United States Lavender Growers Association. There's about 800 members nationwide. Of those 800 members, they cover every state, including Alaska and Hawaii. So it depends on geographically where they are and what variety they turn around and grow. To give you an example, down south, they would have been done harvesting in late May, around Memorial Day, June. So it's just a thing where it goes further north, over a swim where they grow. You can actually on the Saturday there, there's so many farms in that area. It's on that eastern peninsula of Seattle. And you can go to 4 or 5 farms in an afternoon. They have what they call a lavender tour. They all primarily are doing the same thing. The basis is there, but the varieties may be different. They may be growing primarily for culinary, which is real popular there on the west coast in Seattle, Florida, and California. Where there's what we call varieties that are primarily grown for culinary. It's just because of the taste of it. I'm not a fan of it, but there are a lot of people that are. The other thing is, of course, growing for the buds end of it, for sachets, and the color connected with it. Everybody likes that dark blue color when they want to look at like the tops of candles or sachets. The buds themselves will turn around and give equal fragrance on it. It's just the oil content that we're concerned about, how much oil is in it. The varieties that we grow here, there's one of them out here that's called Mayette. It's primarily used as a perfume base. Down there in Bozeman, they told me you probably couldn't grow it here, but bottom line to it is we got about 800 plants here. And it's a perfume base, and then they add whatever else to it they use to it. It's kind of a sweeter taste. When you're out here and you walk through these beds, what you want to do is take your hand and just run it up the side of the stem. And by doing that, just smell your palm, and you're trying to tell the difference between one or the other. All lavender is not the same. We are probably equivalent to New Zealand or Australia as far as the number of growers that are out there. What we find is that, of course, their summers are winter, vice versa, but what we find is in Australia, the big emphasis is on the oil, what they call a camp, the oil content connected with each one. In the United States, they're still working on it, we are working on it. I sit on the board of the Northwest Association, which is Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. just what they're trying to do is come up with a standardization, where a bunch would be 150 stems here, or if it was in Connecticut or if you're on a lavender farm. So the consumer would be more in tune with what's going on. Most farms will have between 500 and 1,500 plants. That's all they'll have. And some type of little shop up on the road. The reason behind that is there's labor intensity behind it. There is no equipment per se out there to harvest, to plant, or anything. So it's a lot of stoop labor that's connected to it. And again, it depends on geographically where you are. If you have a workforce, like in California or down south, with our friends from Mexico, then that's a different story than up here. If you will, the negative side of it is, geographically where we are, is figuring out what varieties will grow here. Our soil temperatures last year, as you all know, it gets like concrete. And it got down to 30 below for 3 or 4 days, 4 nights, 20 below for over 20 days. We put a freeze cloth on top of it. It's a 2.5-ounce cloth. We start the 1st of October and generally takes us most of October, so everything gets covered up. But even at that, we hope for a lot of...
So ayan mga kachika, ayan kalahating baso ang nalibre nating lavender oil. Ayan. So yan mga kachika, nalaman natin kung paano gawin ang lavender oil. At syempre, ang haba ng explanation, parang mahirap intindihin English kasi. O basta, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang pag-explain dito kung paano gawin ang lavender oil. Ito ang inyong Lornang Chikadora. Nakikiusyoso lang.
Because of that, you'll see the soil amenities are, let's say we lived in Tennessee, have real